Alright, welcome back to the International Kindness Festival 2021. We now have the session that many of you have been waiting eagerly for. Actor, singer, producer, and now sports entrepreneur Abhishek Bachchan is here to talk about the many roles of the modern man. He will be in conversation with Mahima Poddar. Remember, your last chance to ask us questions, so do send us your questions for Abhishek, and Mahima will take them at the end of the conversation. Abhishek, Mahima, over to you.
Well, good evening, everyone, and I have some news for you. Abhishek is in jail. That's right. You heard me right. He is in jail shooting for his newest film, and he is shooting it out of the Agra Central Jail. So it's a real environment, and he has all kinds of convicts who are his co-actors. And he was just telling us about how that's a mixed bag of experiences, positive, negative, and a lot of discomfort. But as you can see it, he takes it, with a chuckle and a smile. And we have him here. Welcome, Abhishek. So happy to have you here. I just want to let our viewers know that we do have a bunch of other people who are also viewing in, who've joined us in group sessions. We have people from a senior citizens home, which I will tell you about shortly in a little bit, and an orphanage who's 85 children from an orphanage who've logged in, as well as a team of 14 girls from a fishing hamlet near Kadalur who have formed a wonderful Kabbadi team. And they're all eager to chat with Abhishek right after I get to banter with him a little bit and ask him some questions. How are you doing, Abhishek? How does it feel to be in and out of jail and, sitting in those khaki clothes?
Well, first and foremost, Mahima, thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity, and a big namaste to everybody that's actually taken the time out to tune in. And I'm very excited about this. This has been something that we've been trying to do for a long time, and I'm glad that it's finally happening. And like you said, yes, I'm currently shooting in Agra Central Jail for my new film Dasvi, which we started about a fortnight ago. So please pardon me if there are any internet issues, because it's an actual functioning central jail. They have mobile jammers all over the place. So I've actually run off set into my trailer, and we're trying to find the places where there's good, where the jammers aren't cutting the internet, and getting to connect with you all. So yes, I'm in and out of jail, like you said, literally. And yeah, we're working with real kedis, so it's an experience. But I'm so happy that I could get time to do this. But again, my apologies for tuning in from set. The shoot has extended beyond the hours that we anticipated. I was hoping to be able to connect with you back from my hotel room, but such is life. So now you can shoot your questions at me, and I'll have to answer from jail. So here we go.
All right. I'm not going to put you too much on the spot. And we want to actually hear about the real man that Abhishek is. We know about him as an actor. We've seen your work. We've read about it so much. But I wanted to get into the parent and parenting and the child aspect of Abhishek. I just wanted to know what as a celebrity child, cut to what it is like to parent a celebrity child. Are there any commonalities, things that overlap, or have things changed over time that you reflect on?
That's actually a great question. I think everything has changed from when I was a child. In the last 30 to 40 years, I think there's been a complete sea change, in fact. And bear with me while I try and explain why. But before I do that, I think I'd request you all to just walk a mile in my shoes, so to speak. You have to understand that growing up in Mumbai, in the 80s, where there wasn't as much access to information or communication. There were no mobile phones. You had one phone in the house, if you were lucky. There was one television set per family. A lot of them were black and white. Yes, we are that old. We came from the black and white era. Like the way I said we instead of just me. but Mahima, you get
I'll
what I'm
glaze over
saying.
that. I'll glaze over that.
And I think the pressures on my parents were vastly different to what towards parenting a child and bringing up a child who is the child of two celebrities, as compared to what Aishwarya and I have to go through. I think because we also just grew up in a bit of a bubble. And what I mean by that bubble is most of my friends were, and by the grace of God still are, were all film kids, because these were the children of my parents' friends and colleagues that we grew up with. A lot of us grew up in the same neighborhood. So literally my neighbors all grew up in film families, in and around film families, and have now gone on to forge fantastic careers in the film industry. And I mean this with complete humility. So that was our world. I know there's a lot of negative talk about being an industry kid today, but it's been the most rewarding childhood because we grew up in a dream world. We grew up on our parents' film sets, which was filled with wonderment and awe, and it was just a wonderfully innocent childhood to have. And a lot of my neighborhood friends, people like Aditya Chopra, Uday Chopra, Hrithik Roshan, we've all grown up together. We all went to the same school. We used to go in a carpool to school together. We all grew up together. This is the world that we knew. We did not really know that there was anything apart from this. I say in a jocular manner, but when I was a kid, it must have been 3-4 years old, I thought everybody's father beat up 50 people and had 100 people waiting outside their house whenever he drove out. I thought everybody's parent was like that. That was the world we knew. That was all we got to see. Our friends were, again, children of celebrities. So, that was just the environment you grew up in. I think today it's very different because of access to information and communication. I think there's a distinction between the two worlds. Today, a child of, especially a film actor, I think in a sense is made very aware of their privilege, if I may say so, of being lucky enough to be born into a family with celebrated parents and grandparents. I did not as a kid, and my elder sister Shweta we didn't understand the privilege because for us it was all very normal. This is how it is. And today, I think celebrity kids, it's very apparent and very in your face about how lucky they are and how privileged they are. And I think they're very aware of it and they accept it, and I've not met a kid who misuses that so far. And I think that's the big difference. So now when you're dealing with children, and I have a lot of my colleagues and co-stars all have children today, and we discuss it from time to time. I think this is the biggest difference. Previously, we weren't aware. Previously, we were just very happy being in our little world and existing in it and going about doing our stuff. At home, as it is even today with me and Aishwarya and our daughter, nobody's made to feel special. At home, we're Aradhya's parents, and she's our daughter, and her parents are two normal, loving parents. And as it was for me, with my mother and father, my father was never treated or considered at home to be this megastar. He was dad. And that was the relationship that was focused on. In the back of our mind, we were aware that he was this famous actor, and my mother was this very respected actress. But that was never emphasized. For example, my father never came home in costume or in makeup. And I think in my entire life, I've seen him come home in costume and makeup just once, and that's because he was shooting on the road outside our house. So he made it very clear that he's going to leave work at the workplace in the studio, and at home he was a parent and a son and a husband and a father. And that's similar to what the situation is in our house. But I think today, because of access of information and access to people, I mean, today, wherever you go, you can be filmed, you can be recorded, you can be shot on your phone, and people know where you are. People put it out on the internet, and the internet is accessible by everybody. So you're very aware of what's going on. So maybe somewhere you have to pay a bit more attention to keeping it as normal as possible, as compared to when I was a kid, where you didn't really have to work at it. It just was. So I think that's the biggest difference.
You know, I'm hearing from you a bunch of subtle messages that you've received, that you are kind of, using and following through, messages of maintaining normalcy, maintaining a non-privileged environment within your home versus whatever happens outside. So those are the things that have subtly creeped in and are kind of flowing through. But are there any conscious messages that you've received, learnings you've received from your parents that you now make it a point to pass down to your child?
Well, mine is kind of reverse. Firstly, I mean, I have to say this, full disclosure. The entire credit for Aradhya being this blessing of a child that she is to us has to go to her mother. Aishwarya's dedication to her daughter is insurmountable, and it's amazing, and I think I'm so blessed and so lucky that I have a wife that has decided to make her child her priority, and literally allows me to just go out and do my work without having to confront the pressures and the daily rigors of parenthood. And she's a one woman army, and she's just amazing. So it feels a bit wrong for me to be speaking about all of this, because I really feel the credit has to go to Aishwarya. But you got me, so I'm going to take this opportunity. So my approach is slightly different. When we were being brought up, yes, it was a different era. I think society was very different. What was acceptable, what was taboo, I think have gone through a sea change in today's day and age. I think today's younger generation doesn't necessarily have the same concept of hierarchy that we were taught and what was enforced on us. They need a lot more plausibility and explanation in any action. So, I mean, when we were kids, we were told, okay, this is what you do, and that's it. And we accepted it. I think today's generation, because of just the kind of exposure that they have to the world and information, they ask the question, why? And I think that's very healthy. And I think that's important. Because it kind of makes you question a lot of stuff that you're trying to impart to your child in a sense of morality or sense of values or behavior. So, for example, if I tell a kid today that, you need to do this, they're going to ask me, yeah, but why? And they're not being rude. They genuinely just want to know why. And I guarantee you, most of the time, parents are not going to have the answer for that. And the answer we're going to give is no, because that's just the way it is. But today's generation requires a better answer than that. And I think that's just evolution. And I think that's great. And I feel it's important because it kind of changes how we parent as well. As our generation parents as well. It makes you question a lot of things that were just very some children, and as parents that, okay, this is just how we have to, but that's just, they're going to ask you why, and you shouldn't get upset with that. You should actually look for a very convincing, correct answer to give them. And that makes you question a lot of stuff as to why you're doing it. I mean, for example, I don't think at least me and our generation, would be as informal and casual with our parents and grandparents as possibly our children are with us and their grandparents. There is an air of informality. There's an air of equality. And I think that's so wonderful. And I think the grandparents love it. I think the parents have to kind of adapt to it. And that's purely because we're not used to behaving like that. We might have thought it, but we never acted upon those impressions. And our children don't know anything else. I mean, it's very normal to them. So I think that there's a lot of this that also happens. And yeah.
You know, I'm listening to you say all of this, and I can't help but also think about the kind of questions that arise in a boy, you know, a child who is a boy growing up in today's times, when there is so much pressure on them to be a man in terms of how they treat women, in terms of, you know, how much pain they're allowed to and should show, how much vulnerability they're allowed to show. And these messages that they get are actually often very contradictory. Sometimes the things that they hear from their schools and from their parents may not match what they hear from their peers, or from the world it may not match. And I guess kids of today, especially boys, are in a very difficult spot, because there is a lot of spotlight on how they should be, what is the right way to be. And I just want to know, what are your thoughts on what it means to be a man in this day and age? What does it mean to be a man?
Firstly, I mean, to expand slightly on what I was saying to your last question, you know, it's kind of ingrained in us, you know, the humility chip, I call it. Beta, always be humble, you know, vinamrita se pesh aiya. And these are all great values, and I think it's so important to inculcate in a child. It's part of our culture. And I think that's what makes Indian culture so unique and wonderful. Respect, humility. I think they're two very important values that we need to teach our children. But with that humility, I think we tend to take it a bit too far. And allow me to explain that in entirety. I'm not a person who believes that it's okay for my child to just show up. You know, oh, you participated and that's just great. I think that's a really wrong life lesson that we're teaching our children. No, it's not just okay just to show up, because the world isn't that kind. In the utopian world, yes, that's what I'd love to teach all children. That, oh, you showed up, here's a prize. That's not the way the world works. Sadly, you know, I don't think today we can afford to bring up children in a society, allowing them to think that, listen, I need to be rewarded, acknowledged because I showed up. And I say that because they're just going to end up getting hurt and get disillusioned by the world out there. It is a big bad world. You have to fight every morning for your place under the sun. You got to earn your keep. So I don't think it's okay to just teach your children the value of just showing up. You have to instill the value of hard work, perseverance. You have to allow them to develop a thick shell to be able to confront and to sometimes resist some of the negativity that's going to come their way. And it's not just for a particular kind of person. It's going to happen to everybody. Across society, across echelons of society, it doesn't matter what demographic you come from. It's going to happen. Life is tough. And I think we need to teach our children that. Teach it to them as kindly as possible. It's not something that we need to intimidate them with, but it's something we need to explain to them so that they are equipped. And as parents, you want to equip your children for life. And I think that's something which we really need to pay attention to. Now, coming to the question you just asked about, you know, what are the pressures of being a boy or a man? It's become confusing. And I'm sorry, I'm not very good at being politically correct. It's become very confusing because I see how we are teaching our children about gender equality. It's so sad that we need to talk about it. I mean, it's something that should be happening from the word go, but the fact that it's become an issue today is sad in itself. I grew up in a house where I had a mother, I had an elder sister, 3 cousin sisters, my aunt. I mean, I was literally surrounded by girls, and my sister and I have never been, there's never been any difference in the way we were treated by our families. So I never even grew up with that concept. You know, it was pretty alien to me to say, wait, what are you all talking about? Because it's normal, you know, my sister's my elder sister, I'm her brother, and her gender is different. That's it. We've always been treated equal. I mean, I know for a fact, and I still tease my father about it, that, you know, it doesn't matter who's in the room with him. The minute my sister walks in, the world just comes to a halt. I mean, she's the apple of his eye, and he cannot see beyond her. And I'm his buddy, I'm his friend, and we have an amazing relationship. But I just know with my sister, it goes beyond that, and that's fine by me. But the fact that we're having this conversation about gender equality and you know, sensitizing men today is already, I mean, we're already starting on a weak foot, and it's so sad. Having said that, I think we tend to go the other end of the spectrum there. So I feel somewhere we also have to kind of think about the sensitivities of a young boy growing up in society today, where everything is, you did this wrong and don't grow up and we're forever telling them what not to do. Don't treat women like this. We're just telling them what not to do. And I just believe in life, using a negative approach. And what I mean by a negative approach is by saying no all the time. Don't do this. Stop it. It's wrong. Don't tell them what not to do. Tell them what to do. Teach them the values of respecting a lady. In today's world where we're trying to move towards gender equality, we're also on some level losing out on chivalry. And I'm a big believer in chivalry, and I don't want to trade that in. I've been in many situations where randomly, if you're, you know, walking somewhere and you open the door for a stranger, and that person said, you don't need to open the door for me. But I'm not trying to prove a point. It's just manners. So I don't think we should shift to the other. We're only telling the boys, don't do this, don't do this. Because when you just say don't, they don't understand. It's just, like I said in the first answer, it's just, this is an instruction and this is just what you have to do. They don't understand why they have to do it. So I'd rather that we tell them what they should be doing and why they should be doing it and why it's the right thing to do. So it is very difficult for a young boy today as well. Because all of a sudden, for no fault of theirs and a fault of several generations before them, they are literally just being told, you know, men do this wrong, but they haven't made those mistakes, thankfully. And we hope they don't. But I just feel that we should not that we do, but we should not go to the other extreme where you're just literally, you know, hammering it into them that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I think the minute you stop making a distinction between the two, your problem is going to get solved any which way. But a lady is a lady. A man is a man. You're genetically different. You're wired differently. Learn to appreciate and respect and accept that the woman is the superior race, first and foremost. I think any good husband will readily agree to that and say it publicly, because that is the right thing to do. You know, there's this famous thing that there are many people in life who will advise you. There are many people who will guide you. There are many people who will direct you. And then you go home and ask your wife what to do. So,
that's the right thing to say to ensure you don't sleep on the couch tonight, right?
Absolutely. Thankfully, my wife isn't here, but yeah, you got to say the right things. But jokes apart,
yeah, we're going to have a recording of
I just feel the minute you do away with the distinction of, you know, this person is here because they deserve to be, I think you're gonna help a lot of your problem. But it is a very tricky situation for a young boy or a young man, you know, maturing today and growing up, because there is just so much that is wrong with our society. I mean, every day it's depressing to open a news portal and you read the horrendous acts that are still going on. And I mean, for me, it's very alien because, like I said, I've never been brought up like that, and I think there's a huge difference between metropolitan India and rural India, in terms of an attitude towards the boys and the girls. And I can't wait for those distinctions to go because, like I keep saying, I mean, that's not the house I grew up in, there has never been any difference between the two. And that's just what it is. I mean, my father has publicly even said that he doesn't differentiate between my sister and me. He has said that whatever is his, and that once he passes on in life is going to go equally to his daughter and to his son. How sad that we need to say it. That's something that should be happening any which way. Why is there a difference between, what is this whole attitude that once a daughter is wed, she's no longer yours? She's your daughter. She's going to come back and take care of you and love you as a parent all her life. So there are all these archaic value systems that we seem to have that I think really need to be obliterated. But we need to do it keeping the sensitivities of the young boys as well, because we have to understand, bringing them up, they don't really know what went wrong, and they don't know what wrong is happening. So it has to be done very delicately, I feel. But it is a very, very difficult time.
So Abhishek, I think these are some very valuable messages that I hope parents I know are listening, but I hope there are some kids tuned in as well. And it's reassuring to hear from someone like you that it's okay to hold on, to the inner voice that says treat people equally, because I firmly believe in my heart that when kids are born and through their young years, they start off by not knowing these differences, and it's kind of drilled into them over. So, hearing from someone like you that, hold on to that, don't let it go. And, to parents that please don't do this kind of a divide. I think it's a very nice and strong message. Now, you own a couple of sporting teams, and I know you're a big sport fan yourself. And I have also observed through your social media that you have a very different kind of relationship with your, the team members of the teams that you own. What is it? How do you consider yourself? What do you consider yourself to be for them? Are you more of a friend, a guide? Sometimes are you a parent to them? What is your relationship with them?
Well, now thanks to this whitening beard, I think I'm more of the elder brother kind of vibe with them. I'm a very enthusiastic sports fan. I've always been. I've been a sportsman in my schooling days and college days, and I'm very passionate about it. And I only know how to run a sports team in one way, and that's with absolute passion. I mean, I go all in whatever I do in life, and I feel there's no other way to do it. And if you're not going to be passionate about something and give it 100%, why are you doing it? And for me, and the boys that play in my I own a Kabbadi team and a football team. My football team is from Chennai. It's called Chennaiyin FC, and my Kabbadi team is from Jaipur. It's called Jaipur Pink Panthers. And for me, it's about partaking, being on the journey with them. I really believe. Boss is somebody who's going to tell you what to do. A leader is going to be somebody who's going to lead you doing that. And I think it's more important to be a leader in life than to be a boss. So, I feel I can't be, or I haven't tried. I mean, with my Kabbadi boys or my football boys, I practice with them. And I want them to feel that I'm in this journey with them. When the matches are going on, I'm on the sideline as often as possible, cheering them on through thick and thin. Because they've got that kind of support. So I just believe that not just in sport, but anything you do in life, you have to go all in.
Sure. Abhishek, I would love to keep engaging in our conversation, but I know the various organizations who are here watching this, really eager to chat with you, are getting impatient. And I have also promised your team and Bastri that I will let you go on time, on the dot. So we'll cut our conversation short, and I'll get them on one by one and see if we can get some interaction. So who's coming on first? Let me see. Who's the first person? Okay, so we have the senior citizens from Basera. It's the old age senior citizens home of peace, and they are here. They're very happy to be here. Do you have any questions for him? First of all, namaste and welcome here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I am Babita
Namaste,
here.
namaste.
अभिषेक जी, we are very happy you are here. And मैं बहुत बहुत आपकी शुक्रगुजार हूँ जो आप आज हमारे लिए, हमारे बुजुर्गों के लिए आपने टाइम निकाला है. और we are extremely grateful to the Kindness Foundation for giving us this golden opportunity. Yeah. अभिषेक जी, आज मैं सिर्फ ये हमारे सब बड़े बुजुर्ग लोग हैं जिनके सभी के बच्चे हैं अभी, पर उनको आज का सब लोग इस तरह से छोड़ देते हैं आजकल के जमाने में कि वो लोग केयर नहीं करते हैं. तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि आप आजकल के युवा जनरेशन के लिए कुछ संदेश दे कि अपने पेरेंट्स को इस तरह से ना छोड़े. उनको एक कोई बेकार की चीज आजकल के बच्चे समझ रहे हैं कि हम लोग बहुत बिजी है, हमको टाइम नहीं है देखने के लिए इनके लिए, इसलिए आप लोग देख लीजिए. तो ये मैं चाहती हूँ कि वो लोग इस तरह से ना करके वो लोग को अच्छी तरह से घर पे रख के देखभाल करे. तो उनके लिए आप कुछ संदेश दे.
एक्चुअली मैंने बहुत साल पहले एक फिल्म बनाई थी शरारत. जी जी. जो इसी विषय पे बनी थी जी. और उस फिल्म में मुझे एक वृद्ध आश्रम में भेजा जाता है जी फॉर कम्युनिटी सर्विस. और कैसे वहाँ के जितने भी लोग वहाँ जो रहते हैं उनके साथ मेरा एक संबंध बन जाता है. अगर आप देख पाए तो जरूर देखने की कोशिश कीजिएगा और आपके यहाँ जितने भी हैं उन्हें भी दिखाइएगा. मेरा संदेश बस यही होगा कि देखिए, मैं आज भी अपने माता पिता के साथ रहता हूँ और मैं ये सोच भी नहीं सकता हूँ कि मेरी जीवन कैसी होगी उनके बिना. मेरे माता पिता मेरे लिए भगवान है, मेरे भी ऊपर है. और मैं जो कुछ भी हूँ अपनी जीवन में और जो कुछ भी मैंने किया है या प्राप्त की है वो उनकी आशीर्वाद और प्यार की वजह से है. मेरे लिए उनका सब कुछ उन्होंने दांव पे लगा दिया. उन्होंने मुझे इतना स्नेह, आदर और प्यार दिया है. ये मेरा फर्ज ही नहीं बनता है, ये मैं चाहता हूँ कि मैं भी यही करूँ उनके लिए. मेरे माता पिता आज दोनों 70 से ऊपर हैं. मेरे फादर 78 इयर्स के हैं. मेरी माँ जो है अभी 73 होने वाली है. जैसे मैंने कहा कि मैंने ये कभी सोचा भी नहीं है कि उन्हें कहीं और भेज दूं. लेकिन आजकल मैं ये देख रहा हूं कि बहुत सारे लोग अपनी निजी जीवन में इतने व्यस्त हो गए हैं कि उन्हें ये लगता है कि भैया मुझे अपनी करियर बनानी है तो मेरे पास ये समय नहीं होने वाला है मेरे बूढ़े माता पिता की जो देखभाल है वो करने के लिए. ये लोग और ऐसे लोग बहुत ही जल्दी भूल गए हैं कि वो जब छोटे बच्चे थे तो आपके माता पिता ने अपनी निजी जीवन को साइड में रख के आपका देखभाल किया जी. ये बहुत ही दुखद चीज है कि आजकल की जो पीढ़ी है वो ये सब भूल रही है जी. और मैं बस अगर वो ये सुन रहे हैं, मैं बस यही कहना चाहूंगा कि देखिए, माता पिता हमारे सबसे पहले भगवान होते हैं और भगवान की पूजा रोज की जाती है और वो दूर से नहीं की जाती, वो आसपास होती है. तो हमेशा उनके साथ रहें. और आपके जितने भी यहाँ हैं मैं उनको बहुत सारा सबसे पहले नमस्कार कहूंगा और चरण स्पर्श, और यही कहूंगा कि ढेर सारा प्यार आप सबको. और यही चाहूंगा कि आप लोग स्वस्थ रहें, खुश रहें
जी. थैंक यू सो मच अभिषेक जी. वो लोग भी सब बहुत खुश है आपसे मिलके.
वो फिल्म जरूर देखिएगा आप लोग.
चाहिए और कुछ नहीं चाहिए उनको.
वो फिल्म देखिएगा, शरारत नाम है उसका.
शरारत मैं इनको भी दिखाऊंगी और जरूर देखूंगी मैं भी जी. बहुत बहुत खुशी हुई है.
देखिए, बहुत खुशी है आप सबसे मिलके.
और एक भी कोई मूवी निकालिए जो आजकल के जनरेशन को चेंज कर सके, क्योंकि आप
कोशिश तो यही कर रहे हैं, कोशिश ये कर रहे हैं
जी जी. थैंक यू सो मच अभिषेक.
थैंक यू. नमस्कार, वणक्कम.
Good evening. This is Babji from Good Shepherd Undivided Family, Hyderabad, near Ramoji Film City. Thanks. Namaste, sir. My name is Moses, and I am from Good Shepherd family, one of students, and I love to be here. It's very clean and protein foods they give us, and they are very healthy. And my question is, uh,
Take your time. Take your time. Don't worry.
थोड़े शब्द आप ये बच्चे लोग को बोले, कुछ न्यू गुड मैसेज.
मैसेज ये है कि आप सब खुश रहिए हमेशा, और ये जो काम कर रहे हैं आपके साथ और ये जो आप लोग ऑफिस चला रहे हैं बहुत ही काबिले तारीफ है, और बहुत बहुत बधाई. इतनी खूबसूरत लड़कियां सब पीछे हैं, सब बड़े होके जो उनका मन चाहे वो हासिल करें, ये मेरी प्रार्थना है. हाय हाय, नमस्कार आंटी. और ये कभी मत सोचना कि आप लोग अलग हैं, कि लड़कियां जो हैं लड़कों से अलग हैं. जो कुछ भी लड़के कर सकते हैं आप लोग भी कर सकती हैं, और आप लोग बेटर भी कर सकती हैं. तो वो विश्वास रखिएगा हमेशा. कीप द ड्रीम अलाइव एंड गॉड ब्लेस ऑल ऑफ यू.
They're so happy.
How cute they are. Yeah, I think it's just a bit dark.
Too dark. We can't able to arrange light. Next time we will arrange light. Not only this Kabbadi, better than this, any other sports like football, volleyball.
I wonder if she's saying that if you would encourage them to play any other sport, if not Kabbadi, what do you think is a good sport for girls? I wonder if that's the question.
Yeah.
Well, I really see that, you know, sports in India is going through a huge renaissance right now, where not only for the men's, but even for the women's, they're getting so much importance. I mean, just if you get to see how the Indian women's national cricket team is performing, they started a new series today, and we wish them all the best. And so I think there's a lot of importance being put onto women in sports. Indian women are reaching international heights and are considered some of the best in the world in several sports, not just in badminton and other very famous sports, but there's so many, be it tennis. We have a great Indian women's Kabbadi team, which is currently world ranked #1. And so I would say if they love playing a sport, they should play any sport that they truly enjoy and love playing. Be it Kabbadi, be it football, volleyball, whatever it is.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us, taking the time out
Well,
on your
thank
very
you.
busy schedule. Good
Thank
luck
you. Thank you
in
for
your
having
jail
me.
time. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.